Hello, welcome to Dazliouslearning the Language of Autism. My name's Belle, and I am excited because I'm going to start a new series on routines, autism and routines. And I realised when I was thinking about what I could, I felt like I wanted to do a new series. I like doing like one-off videos, but I also quite like doing a series because you can really kind of like get your teeth into the depths and the intricacies of a certain subject with regards to autism, sensory processing and executive functioning and communication and all other manner of aspects of, the whole being of being autistic and how some of those things can be affected positively or not in a person who is autistic. So I've come up with routines or rituals, as I like to call them, in our house, because they kind of sometimes some of our son's routines look like they're ceremonic rituals. A neurotypical person might call them a routine, but actually when you live with someone who is autistic, I have found some of the routines that he has are really rather beautiful, and they kind of express that part of him that is really in the moment, like really in the now, which I think is what a lot of us humans try and strive to have that ability to be able to focus, concentrate, and really be in the activity or the moment or the person or whatever it is that we're doing, to really be able to just give that our full concentration. And many of us don't have that skill. So I've learned by living with our son that routine and ritual, there's a whole, bag of reasons, and depending on the routine depends on the reason as to why that routine is in place and why that routine has been created by him. And all of the routines have been created by him. And I've also learned that he will, if there isn't a routine, he will very quickly create one. And there is obviously a reason for that. And that's what I want to do these series for, is because I want to sort of delve into the possibilities of why routines are so important to many autistic people, right from very young all the way through to the rest of your living life. And I hope that by doing this series, it will bring obviously a clearer understanding as to the whole meaning of routine, that there is real genuine meanings and reasons to a routine, and to help neurotypical people understand the value of routine, and to open up more conversation with other parents, neurotypical parents, other autistic people, to help really kind of like add, in the comments and everything, and subscribing, to really kind of say, actually, this is the way I have a routine when I do this, or I have a routine when I do that. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to break it down into sections as best I can, which isn't always easy, but I'm going to try. And I'm going to kind of like do chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. Each week do a chapter on something, so that it breaks it down and makes it more manageable to process and understand. I'm looking down there because I've got some notes here. So, for example, some routines in our house I've discovered are more deeply grooved. We call them grooves. So each routine is a groove. So some grooves are really deep, and it seems like they cannot be negotiated at the moment or budged in any way, shape or form. There are other routines that seem to be easier for my son to be able to negotiate. So sometimes he can speed a routine up, he can slow a routine down, he can take bits out, he can add bits in, he can completely let go of one without too much discomfort for him. As long as there are preparations and things put in place. So And I never know what that's going to be, and I learn as I go. He's 15 and I'm still learning about some of the routines and needs that he has, and which ones are really non-negotiable and those that are. I hope to get across that it's never personal to anybody else. So sometimes, when you live with someone that has to have all these different routines and rituals, sometimes when you don't need that, it can feel restricting, constricting, and it can create disharmony in a house, because one person is like, oh, for goodness sake, let's just go out the door, let's just go, we know where we're going, let's just go. Whereas the other person living in the house, or people, will need to do a certain set of things before they can leave the house. So it's about the other person, the neurotypical person, managing, I've found, their time better, so that we don't keep creating those disharmonies and arguments and the need to rush and, oh, I'm late. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the reasons why they're important, the different types of depths of routine, how they can help with things like communication. They can actually help my son understand communication and process communication easier within a routine. I'm going to explain that further. That's an interesting one. It also is a motivator if there's a routine. It creates more calm and peace, so there's less chaos. If nobody knows what they're doing and it's all a bit ambiguous, it can create, in an autistic person who needs routine, just shut down, just a complete shutdown and a panic, and the ability to not want to move forward or engage in any way, shape or form. It can assist with things like executive functioning and sensory processing. If there is a routine, it seems to create like a safe place for my son, for him then to be able to just focus on that routine, and within that routine, that's the kind of language that is spoken. So then he learns that language within that routine, and then he needs to learn another language within another routine. So I'm going to talk about that. It can help eliminate fears and anxieties if there is a familiar routine in place. If there are familiar objects or playthings, toys, accessories that are part of his or her routine, which they can take into another space, another activity, bringing that part of their routine with them can help create space of calm and lessen anxiety. What else? Yeah, and it's like an anchor. It's like if they know that's happening, if that happens, then that happens, and that happens, then that happens. So sometimes what can happen if you change part of a routine, and to a neurotypical person it might be, oh, well, I only moved that, I only took that one picture away and there's 10 others. Sometimes it can be okay, but sometimes it means the rest of that whole day even is out of whack. And for many neurotypical people, we can readjust quite quickly, but for a lot of autistic people, that is just a whole nother load of processing and rejigging and reorganising that they have to do in their brain, which can just sometimes be so much information that they're having to sort out and change and do it. It's like a computer crashing. It just is too much. So I'm going to talk about that. And then I'm going to talk about, to give examples, which I like to do, which I think sometimes makes it easier for people to understand and grasp, is by giving examples of routines. So there are many, because my beautiful son has many, many, many routines for many, many different things. So for example, there's a bath time routine. Most kids have a bath time routine, right? But this is an intricate bath time routine. There's a toileting routine. There's a routine as to when he goes to the toilet as well. There's school routines. There's getting dressed routines. I've got a hair. There's like DVDs and a routine within that, and when he watches certain DVDs and in what order he watches them and what nights he watches them. there's a routine around food, and there's a routine around when we go out and about to our lakes and our rivers and our cinemas, and there's a routine to getting out of the car and locking the car. There are routines and rituals, which is why I call them rituals, because some of them just seem like really beautiful rituals to me. Car journeys, even certain, if we go on regular car journeys, there are certain routines he has created. Even if he's just sitting in the back of the car as a passenger, there are certain things and stuff he does with his own personal body and that I've observed are a routine. So by changing a route or a journey, to how you get there, to a neurotypical person might be no biggie. We're just going a different way. But all these things, if there is a routine within that journey, and by seeing certain what do you call them, landmarks, to an autistic person, it could be that those landmarks are like they're ticking them off in their mind, are anchor points. So if they're suddenly gone or they're changed, it can create chaos. So I'm going to talk about stuff like that. I just think this is going to be a really, really good, useful, informative series, and I'm really excited about it. So I am going to start this routine series as of next week. This is an introduction to it. So if if this rings bells for you, or you're interested in this, whether you're a professional, a parent, a carer, a family member, you're autistic yourself, and you've got any pointers that you can give me, please do. You can subscribe and get alerts as to, click the little bell and you'll get alerts as to when the next video is coming out. And the first video on routines will probably be the why. Some of the reasons, obviously I can't give them all because I'm not autistic, and I can only go on some of the things some autistic people have told me, which I'm going to share. No names will be given, and most of it will come from my son and I's experiences together and what I've learned from him. So this list is by no means exhaustive. There are many other reasons for many other autistic people that have routines, and it's going to be different for every single person. These videos are purely meant to give neurotypical people, professionals, carers, family members, like a ballpark idea, so that it can help get your minds and your brains and your understanding more open-minded. And if you go, oh, I remember Belle said on that video, la 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 la, and you see someone doing blah blah blah, then it might help you. It might not be the same reason, but it might help you understand. It might give you an anchor as to, or a thread as to why that person is doing what they're doing. That's what I hope. So please stay tuned, and please do join and subscribe, because the more you comment, the more we share, the more we learn. And me too. I'm learning all the time, so I'm always really interested and thankful to receive messages of support and wisdom. Okay, so thank you very much, and I'll tune in again next week. Have a good week.